Meantime, we're bringing you now more detail on that Walmart case before the Supreme Court today. This could be the biggest job discrimination suit in U.S. history, affecting millions of women, and there are billions of dollars that could be at stake. We're joined now by an expert Walmart watcher, Dorian Warren. He's a Columbia University professor who specializes in labor and social movements. He's also currently working on a book about Walmart's labor practices. So could you say this may end up being the lead in your book here?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is the largest potential class action case in U.S. history. And what's interesting about it is the question before the court today is not about the merits of the case. Did Walmart engage in systematic sex discrimination? But rather, do 1.5 million women constitute a class? Do they constitute one who can then sue Walmart together?
And is that really the issue that other corporations are finding fault with? Because we do know anyone from GE to Intel have also come out in support of Walmart on this. They're worried about the precedent.
That's right. Now, there have been 27 amicus briefs filed, many by other corporations worried about the effect of this case if the court decides in favor of the women. Would this set a precedent for these companies to be liable to increased amounts of class action lawsuits?
So, I mean, you are talking about millions of women here. What's the definition of a class? How can you argue that they are all the same just based on gender?
Sure. So the women would argue that they constitute a class because they face a commonality of circumstances across the 3,400 stores, 170 job classifications. They would say that there were systematic promotions and pay disparities, all directed from the headquarters at Bentonville. Walmart would say no, that each of these individual women experience discrimination potentially, but they should take that up with each store manager in each of those 3,400 stores, that they don't have enough in common across the entire company.
Now, I mean, it has made it this far, but this is the first time in a dozen years that the court has revisited its standards for class action here. So does that consideration alone tell us a little bit about what we may hear as a decision?
Well, that does tell us a little bit. The court, as we know, it's no secret, tends to side on the side of companies and corporations. This court does. However, what's also interesting about this moment is that for the first time ever, there are 3 women on the court, including one who voted to certify a class action case when Walmart was a plaintiff at the federal level involving 8 million merchants a few years ago. That's Justice Sotomayor. So there will be some interesting dynamics that take place in the oral arguments today.
But what is interesting here, beyond just the definition of class, is that some of the signatories onto this, some of the parties, the plaintiffs, haven't actually complained about specifics of discrimination here, but they're supportive of the concept. How does that work?
So the argument is that they are somehow affected by the disparity system-wide or company-wide in the lack of promotion opportunities or in pay disparities, meaning women that worked in the same jobs as men but got paid less but may not have realized it. That would be up to a court, a federal court, if the Supreme Court decides the class can move forward. The next stage of this would be, it would go back to the federal court, and that court would determine if Walmart's liable for this potential class of 1.5 million women who've worked at the store since 1998.
Now, this will be precedent setting clearly for women in the workplace, but beyond that, I mean, you're looking at labor practices.
And all kinds of employment discrimination lawsuits. So based on age or based on race, based on disability, this would affect the entire corpus of employment discrimination law, and it would affect the one tool that many individual workers have, and that's class certification.
What are you feeling about this? I mean, do you expect it to move beyond? I mean, as you've said, this court tends to find in favor of business. Do you expect them to do so? Well,
yes, I do expect them to find in favor of Walmart and knock down the case, but I think it's going to be a really close vote. I think most of the votes in this court are 5-4. I think we're going to see the same in this case. If the court does uphold the plaintiff's claim of a class, I do think we'll see a quick settlement on Walmart's behalf.
All right. So depending on how far this goes or not, it's going to set precedent, but at a minimum, it's probably going to have a financial cost either way.
Absolutely.
It sounds
Absolutely.
like. Well, Dorian, thank you so much.